Do you know the characteristics that it takes to make a successful salesperson? Hi, I'm Taylor Weir, and I'm going to tell you those characteristics today. Professional selling is an art form and a science that can be attributed to three important characteristics: ego drive, empathy, and the importance of training in the workforce. I'm going to begin with ego drive. So ego drive is what makes a salesperson want and need to make the sale in an ego-building way. It's not all just about the money for them, they need it for their ego. This conquest provides an important means of enhancing his ego, his or her, and it will dramatically improve their self-image, but it's also important to mention that failure acts as a motivation for them as well. They need to have an ego that's balanced enough to be able to handle the rejection of a failure that's going to motivate them to do better in the future. And they also need one that isn't weak enough to be shattered by that failure. It needs to be strong enough to still believe in themselves, to push forward and work harder and do better in the future. The person with a strong ego drive has a maximum motivation to fully utilize whatever empathy they have. Now, ego drive and empathy go hand in hand here, and it takes a combination of the two of them working together to reinforce the other. Now, moving on to empathy. Empathy is important for this to allow the seller to relate with what the buyer is feeling in order to be able to sell him or her the product or service. Having the right empathy means that the salesperson can sense a customer's reaction and adapt on the fly to meet those customers' changing needs. They are not bound by a pre-planned sales track, and they can change pace, they can double back, and they can make whatever creative modifications might be necessary to home in on that target and make that sale. Now, while these two are incredibly important and they go hand in hand, and you cannot be a successful salesperson without these two. They are a must-have characteristic. But just like everything else, nobody can just be born to be great at a profession. You have to work at it, you have to hone in on these skills, and you have to fine-tune them, which is why the role of training is so important. The role of training, it's clear and it's vital, and every company needs to have a proper training program implemented in order to have successful salespeople. In today's highly competitive market, it is incredibly important for each salesperson to have their skills fine-tuned and perfected so that they can make the maximum productivity possible. Now, what's really important to mention here is that training can only succeed if the selection process is accurate. Now, what this means is that in order to make professional salesmen be as successful as possible, you need to find these people that have these characteristics of empathy and ego drive and that motivation to want to be able to make these sales. You can give a normal everyday person as much training as the next guy, but if they don't have those characteristics, they're not going to succeed. So in order to make top performing sales professionals, you need to have a more strict and inclusive screening process. You need to make sure that these people that you are going to put time and resources and money into are the people that you actually want and need selling for your company. Thank you.